So people, when they ask me what I do, and I tell them that I'm a designer, the first thing that they usually say, oh, are you a graphic designer or a fashion designer? And I say, no, I kind of run an NGO. And they say, oh, what? And then I try to explain to them how I try to push designers to be more involved in social and environmental challenges. And that's when the things get a little bit confusing. So for today's sake, I'm going to start from the beginning and tell you about the whole story about how we got here. But first, I will need my presentation. Okay. Yes, great. Okay. So 12 years back, I decided to become a designer. And I come from a mother that's an artist and a psychologist, and a father that's a businessman. And somehow, with all the fields that were available to study, I picked design. Halfway through studying, I realized that this isn't really what I want to do. There was a lot about being a designer that I enjoyed, but at the same time, I really did not want to be the person that just adds more to the whole capitalist consumers and commercial aspects to things. And I realized that I want to do something that has some value. I lived in Lebanon, and I wanted to have some sort of a purpose because of all the things I see around me. So after finishing my degree, it just so happened that it was 2006. It was at the time of the war. So I didn't have a graduation day. Instead, I went with a military boat to Europe. So there I started studying more design. And then about 5 years later, I realized that I learned so much more about human-centered design, design for social impact. I did a lot of research trying to understand the education system here and what is missing. And I realized that many of the universities and the master's programs out there were really focusing on a lot of social stuff. So I thought that I'm going to come back to Lebanon and try to do something about it. And this is when in 2010, by the end of it, I came back and founded the MENA Design Research Center. Now, today I'm going to explain to you about one project that kind of shows a little bit of how design can be useful for social impact. And this project was called Desmeme, which started in 2012. And if you would like to see a documentary about it that explains it in whole, please, you can follow this link here. Now, the idea of Desmeme is that we're thinking of design as a process. Many people think of design as an end result, but we think of it as a creative solving tool, which means that we start with research, then there's insight, ideation, prototyping, testing, and eventually implementation. But to talk about these things more in example, I will take 4 examples of some of our projects that we've worked on. So the first one is design and personal finance. When the designers come to us, so there was a group of 30 designers, and we put them in different teams, and we say, this is what you're going to work on. Of course, this was a theme that most of the designers did not like at all. But we were working every single group on a specific social or environmental challenge in collaboration with an NGO in Lebanon. So the NGO provides us with the space to work in, it provides us with all the information that they have, and the designers go in there and try to figure out their ways to deal with this issue. And in this case, it was with an organization called the MENA Foundation. And they said that they realized that because we don't have a culture where kids actually leave the houses of their parents when they're 18, we have this culture where maybe because they don't have to directly get jobs at such an early age, they don't really know the value of money and how to spend. So we got these designers to go in there and start to get to know youth groups. So we put them with different schools, with scouts movements, and they would go there and do their research. And the idea is to try to get some insight into their lives, to understand what their behaviors are, and what we can actually do to maybe change some of their behaviors. So we realized so the demographic was people between 15 and 18. And so the idea was, how can we understand them better? And we realized that these people actually do want to learn how to save money, but they really did not know how. But at the same time, the whole time when we were doing all our interviews and our different group projects together, we realized that they were on their smartphones all the time. So we thought, okay, why can we not create an app out there that makes you more aware of your spending habits? Of course, there were apps out there that existed, but all of the apps that we looked into did not necessarily fit for this age group in Lebanon that we were talking about. They had things in them like rent and different kinds of things in the user interface that were not necessarily useful to these young kids, so they did not feel like this was designed for them. So with all the input that we got from them, we basically created a user interface that we tested on them as well, and eventually came up with an app that was 100% directed towards them. The second project we'll talk about is about design and sustainable consumerism. And this was in collaboration with the YMCA. And one of the biggest problems that we really wanted to tackle was about the use of plastic bags. people use plastic bags in a crazy manner in this country. I mean, even if you get a tiny piece of chocolate bar, they put it in a plastic bag for you. And we've come to a point where every single plastic bag that was ever created from the beginning of time exists somewhere around the world and has not disintegrated. So how are we going to tackle this topic? We wanted to make this a community project. We wanted to tackle a certain community so that everybody together is aware of the fact that they're using a lot of plastic bags. So we started by putting up posts in Burj Hammoud, which was the community that we wanted to work in, for people to put in their plastic bags. This was the first phase. And then we got to meet all of the different artisans and the craftsmen to understand how can we use these plastic bags to create more upcycle projects. So in collaboration with a series of different artisans, we learned how to weave plastic bags instead of using rattan to make all of these different products, to use the plastic bags to create new products. These products were also exhibited in Beirut Design Week, and the minute that they were there, everybody wanted to buy them. So obviously, this is something that can work. And at the same time, after this, we got in touch with all of the schools, and we did this project in the schools as well. So we got all the young kids to learn the different ways to weave all of these things and to create their own products. This project was in collaboration with Helm, and it was about the LGBT. So initially, the idea was about design and gender. But then once the research started with all of the different groups with Helm, the designers found out that there's a lot of things that were too much of taboo subjects, and it was very difficult to communicate them. So one of the main insights that they got after their research is that they had very little awareness about STIs. So for example, when they would speak with a group of lesbians, they thought that they were not really part of this conversation because they were not aware that they could also catch STIs. So they decided eventually, after all of the research, after 3 months, to create this website. And this website exists today as well. You can check it out, exit.org. And the idea is for you to simply learn about if you have this sexual orientation, what kind of STIs you might get through what method of transmission. And after that, one of the other things that we realized from our research is that there were a lot of doctors in the country that were not very necessarily LGBT friendly. So in this website, there's also a page where there's an interactive Google map where you can actually find all of the different doctors that are LGBT friendly. The last project I'm going to discuss with you today is Design and Disability. And this project was done in a collaboration with Urgence. Now, Urgence is absolutely a great organization, and they do a lot of work for the disabled people. And we went in there also for 3 months, looking into their different lives, making them do different photo diaries, understanding all of the challenges that they face daily. And they have a ceramics lab there, which was mostly of our focus. And we realized that even though many of the people really enjoyed their job there, they really had no autonomy in the whole process. So the designs came to them as they are, the stickers came as they are. All they had to do is cook the already designed mug and stick the design on it. And we found out that perhaps if we get these people to be able to be an important part of this creative process, this might change their attitude. So with one of the projects, we basically said, okay, let's think of some themes and some keywords that you really feel identify with who you are and what you're doing. And after that, we got a lot of designers to work with them to create what you see here on the screen. So they redesigned different kinds of objects, we changed the entire process, and they were able eventually to come up with their own products that they identified with, using words from their daily lives that they also identified with. And this was also exhibited during Beirut Design Week. So to conclude, design, I think, can modify people's daily behaviors, and it can change perceptions in communities. And this is something that we really believe in, because once we're in there and we're getting all these projects happening, we see people are changing their perspectives. It's kind of an added value to an awareness campaign, because people are directly involved in this. And when we're working with NGOs, we also try to find out how our relationship works together, because we believe that our skills are complementary. The NGOs that we've worked with, many of the people are so good at humanitarian aid, at lobbying, at advocacy, and we really need these people to go there. But what we try to do actually is to complement those skills by bringing these issues closer to people and bringing them closer to the youth so that they also feel involved in this. And we think that this is something very important. So to conclude, I'm glad you are all here to listen to this. And please, if any of you have any questions or would like to work with us, we're here, and this is my email. Thank you.
Switch it up.